Hello and welcome to FWO's information session about its funding program for applied biomedical research with a primary societal goal, or TBM for short. In this video, we'll share some insights on how to successfully apply for TBM funding. Most of the information provided in this video is additional to the manual that is available for this program on the FWO website. Before you apply, please make sure you read through the manual first. In the long term, the TBM program aims at contributing to the implementation of therapies, diagnostic techniques and preventative methods which without government funding would not make it to the patient due to a lack of industrial interest. Although the TBM program accepts project proposals in the broad fields of health and well-being, it has very strict criteria your research needs to comply with to be eligible for funding. Research that does not fit within the program will either not be considered or will be outcompeted by better suited proposals. So, a first step is for you to assess whether your project idea fits the TBM program. To show a perfect fit, your project should comply with the following 4 main characteristics. First, it should be aimed at the development of a new therapy, diagnosis or specific prevention of a particular human disease or medical issue. Alternatively, it can be aimed at the comparison of existing therapies, diagnostics or preventative methods in order to find out their relative efficacy and cost-effectiveness. Second, your research should be positioned late in the path from discovery to a specific application, meaning there already is a clinically relevant proof of concept available. Ideally, the proposed project is the last research step necessary for implementation in practice. Please note, however, that pure implementation activities of acquired knowledge from the past without the need for further research are considered too late in the discovery process to qualify for support. Third, the proposed clinical innovation should offer a clear applicability with an added value for the health situation in Flanders. This benefit should include at least a positive medical impact for a particular group of patients or a cost reduction for the Flemish healthcare system. A final and important fit criterion is a demonstrable lack of industrial interest in the project at the time of submission or in the near future. This absence of interest could be due to a commercial or a legal reason, and this should be thoroughly substantiated in the proposal. In the TBM manual, we link to an overview of projects that were funded in the past to give you an idea of the types of projects that are typically funded within the program. In addition, you can find examples of types of research that fall within or outside of the scope of the program. FWO will organize meetings at most Flemish universities where potential applicants can pitch their TBM project idea to assess whether it fits to the scope of the program. Alternatively, such discussions can take place at any time with FWO upon request of the researcher. FWO can also provide a written advice. You can find a template on our website that you can use to obtain a fit assessment by the FWO administration. This pre-submission inquiry is highly recommended to increase your chances of submitting an eligible and successful application. However, please note that the advice provided by FWO is not binding. FWO will cover 100% of the project's costs, including personnel and consumables. A project budget can reach up to 850,000 euros for single center studies and, provided thorough motivation, up to 1,275,000 euros for large or multicentric studies. The project period can vary between 2 to 4 years. In order to be eligible for funding, your organization needs to comply with the European definition of a research center. Typical applicants include universities, university hospitals, or hospitals with an academic character. To avoid an unsuccessful application due to the ineligibility of your organization, make sure to consult our manual, and if you still have questions, please contact FWO for advice. Also note that if some of the participating organizations are not research centers, they can be involved in your project as subcontractor. If an organization will mainly recruit and include patients for a clinical trial, we strongly advise to involve them as subcontractor rather than as research partner. Please note, however, that at least 10% of the budget needs to go to a hospital that is involved as a research partner. Non-Flemish research centers can participate in a TBM project as well, limited to 20% of the total budget. For TBM projects that have been funded in the past, we noticed an increased impact for those projects that had involved relevant stakeholders very early on, during the conceptualization phase. The active involvement of such an advisory committee in the various project phases, from preparation to implementation and post-project activities, will stimulate both the effective implementation and the dissemination of the TBM project results from the outset. The applicant is encouraged and stimulated to build a network with important players in the future utilization trajectory, so that the transfer of project results is better supported and broadened. FWO therefore strongly advises to compose and involve a relevant advisory committee during the pre-project phase. The selected societal stakeholders will be specific to each TBM project. Possible members include, for instance, patient organizations, professional associations, regulatory agencies, health insurance organizations, or clinical centers. The composition of the advisory committee, as well as their commitment to the project, will be taken into account during the evaluation. Your application will be assessed by a panel of international experts. These experts will evaluate whether your application fits within the scope of the TBM program, and next, they will assess the overall quality of the proposed research, taking into account both the potential scientific and societal impact. The evaluation framework that will be used throughout the assessment procedure is translated into a score grid that can be consulted on the TBM webpage. We strongly suggest to perform a self-assessment of your proposal using this score grid and, additionally, to request feedback from one of your peers. FWO will organize a meeting with the expert panel in June. During this meeting, project proposals will be discussed after a brief interaction with the applicants. This interaction will allow the experts to ask any additional questions to clarify specific aspects of your proposal. To maximize the probability of success of your submission, please make sure that key members of your consortium are available on the following dates: June 8, 14, 16, and 20. In the beginning of April, FWO will inform you on which of these 4 dates the interaction will take place for your specific application. To conclude, we have collected some additional tips and tricks to help increase your chances of submitting a winning proposal. Each year, FWO receives several applications that are rejected early on because a topic falls outside of the scope of TBM. Therefore, to save you time, a pre-submission inquiry is highly recommended. As explained in more detail earlier, you can send an abstract of your proposal to tbm@fwo.be. Once you receive a positive advice, the following tips can help you to strengthen the content of your application. Make sure your project has a clear focus. Check that the scientific goals are well aligned with the utilization goals. Include sufficient evidence supporting the feasibility of the approach, such as preliminary findings or data from literature, including epidemiological studies or large clinical trials. For concrete examples, please check our TBM manual. Ensure that the planning of the utilization part is both feasible and realistic. For clinical studies, pay special attention to the patient inclusion strategy, taking into account potential dropouts. In addition, make sure to perform a power analysis. Lastly, when reporting clinical trials, be sure to follow consort guidelines. Because a TBM application requires interactions with a variety of stakeholders, it is crucial that you start preparing your submission well in advance. Be sure to contact your university services in time to help you prepare a realistic budget plan and to ensure that the required documents and signed declarations are in place. Be proactive in the recruitment and involvement of the members of your advisory committee. Having the support of relevant stakeholders will be a critical aspect for the evaluation and for the future success of your TBM project, so asking their advice early on will benefit the application enormously. This presentation contains only the key characteristics of the TBM program. Please consult the documents and e-portal on the website for more detailed information. In addition, you can contact the FWO administration via email to answer any remaining questions or issues. Thank you for attending this information session. We wish you success with your future TBM application and look forward to receiving your pre-submission inquiry.